Oh yeah, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time.
All right, y'all. Because I'm happy. Just wanted to give a little upbeat music here on this Monday. Um, there used to be a song. I forgot that lady's name. Just another manic Monday. Ooh, y'all remember that song?
I remember that
I may
song.
be showing my age by that, but yeah, I used to love that song. So I'm just so happy that you guys are with us. Hello, Ruby. How are you? Is that your people, Ruby Fryer?
Yep, that happens to be my mother, so that makes her my people.
Oh, okay. I never knew that. Why you never said that? She's always so nice and kind to me. Hi, Miss Fryer. You know you ain't. Why you ain't never tell us that was your mama?
I knew you wasn't expecting me to say that. That's why I say.
Oh, you remember too, Kim? Yeah, just another manic Monday. Ooh, wow. Yeah. I
Well,
don't want to
that's
get into
because
singing. I'm not that great of a singer.
y'all like in y'all late 40s. So I'm like, yeah, I just got into this club the other day.
Oh, Lord.
And Terisha not there yet. So,
All right. So I'll let you have that. I'll let you have that. But I welcome you guys to the Table Talk radio show. My name is Tanisha Simpkins. We have Pastor Nathan Austin, and we also have Dr. Terisha Lee. She's looking like she's glammed up over there. I can't hardly see
I'm
her.
about to say she got a new background, new light, everything.
Listen, scrambling today. I'm trying to
must have got something to do after the show. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Brother Lee. We're going to get off in a moment. Don't worry about it.
I know, right? I know, right? So, guys, so many things have happened over the weekend. I mean, it's like, we come on here every Monday, but it seems like the weekend has more things happening than during the week almost. It's just crazy. Now, one thing that I do want to address, and that is my condolences to a couple of people, actually, to the judge, Judge Esther Salas, who, just Thursday, I'm gonna say Thursday, okay, she received the case for Epstein and a bank. I forgot the name of the bank. Come this weekend, her husband and son answered the door, and they were shot with gunshots. The son died. The husband is still in the hospital. They say today that they caught the killer, who was an attorney, who was very strong when it came to certain rights or men rights or whatever. That appears to be a gunshot inflicted wound, maybe suicide. I'm not a person that's really on conspiracy, because when people come with me conspiracy, I'm like, listen, give me the facts. That's me. I'm a fact girl. Show me the facts. Show me the facts. However, this whole situation with Epstein is unraveling, and it's almost like I was telling somebody, I really want to see this story, because it's going to be a lot of names. That's what I'm thinking, like the name thing of who all is associated with this case, or who all associated with him. It's just going to be, I don't know, Terisha, it just seems like a lot.
It does.
A lot.
From what I'm hearing, like stuff and high profile Hollywood people. So I think they have a motive to keep it quiet.
Right. I'm thinking that too. And I'm like, it's just like, well, I wonder who's all involved. I know they say a whole lot of people from politics, a whole lot of people from this, and, stars, and it has to do with, you don't want to allege anything, but it has to do with drugs or trafficking. It's like a whole Hollywood movie, like out of Miami somewhere, just a whole movie that's going to unravel. And I want to see it, to be honest with you, because it's just, my condolences to this woman. You know what I'm saying? She just took on the case, and for this to happen, as a judge, out of intimidation, out of fear. I don't know. They claim one particular person did it. Don't really have no reason why, but It was just crazy to me. Crazy. Did you see that, Pastor A?
Yeah, I of course I saw the case. I didn't connect the dots until later on. So I thought that was interesting. I kind of knew that it had to be just reading the story. I knew that this was not a random act of violence, just the way it went down. I didn't make the Epstein connection till later, but I think it is interesting that this case, you know, in the just the way it went down is similar to Epstein. Just like, hey, you know, he's dead, and just like this situation, oh, is this happened? Oh, the killer's dead. Like that's just, you know, coincidence happen, but they don't happen this well a lot of cases, and so
Right.
it's very, very well scripted, seemingly, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how this whole situation will she accuse herself? Will she be forced to recuse herself from this case? And what happens to the next judge who takes this case on? Will they now get the message of this mafia style type hit? You know, sometimes you look at the news and you wonder
said
if
it. You said it. I ain't say it. Mafia style hit.
This
Right.
is a mafia style hit. This is a cartel type of situation, something that you will only see in the movies. So sometimes when we look at the news, we're really wondering, are we in America? I mean, things that happen, and you know, it goes right up on our nose because it's, you know, we're dealing with so many other things, but the world is still moving. Things are still happening. And so this is going to be very, very interesting to see how this all plays out.
Yeah, it is very interesting. But I also want to say my condolences to the family of Representative John Lewis and also Reverend C.T. Vivian. Both were civil acts rights leaders. They both were freedom riders. They both marched with King. They both spoke very highly when it came to civil rights and being a part of civil rights and being a part of actually marches. If you go back and look at some of the things that either one of them said, they always said that marches and protests do work, even if it's not now or later, even if you repeating, I think that's what John Lewis said in one commentary, even if you're repeating the same issue, it still works. And also that protests are non-protest, no, and voting is our non-violent act to get our rights. So, you know, I know today was the last day to register to vote. For those who hadn't registered, hope that you did so. But voting, as he said, is one of the best practices that is non-violent. You know, I mean, do you guys have anything to add to? And a lot of people, some people didn't know Reverend C.T. Vivian. I only knew him because, you know, part of National Baptist. You know, you don't heard his name quite a few times as part of, you know, growing up. But he received medals as well. They both did. They both were very much involved when it came to civil rights. And I think, who went to Fisk? Was it John Lewis? Or okay.
Yeah. Yes, he went to Fisk.
Yeah, he went to Fisk. So he that's I say, huh? So he represented Fisk University, which is a black institution. So yeah, really? And that's just
amazing black institution.
Is it really?
It's amazing. Yes.
Wow.
Is it amazing or a black institution? Which one?
Oh, coming tonight. We ready, huh?
Oh my God. Every week we end up on this subject. I don't know how we end up on the same subject every single week.
It's hard, but it is possible. And Fisk has done it to be amazing and black.
He also went to
and American, you know what?
That's he went to American. Okay. But yeah, it's interesting. I like, you know, John Lewis. He's known to me as good trouble. You know, that was the phrase that he coined. You know, good trouble. And what's interesting about, you know, in this whole climate in which we're living in, this generation, those that were willing to just stir up good trouble, they're leaving. Those that were willing to sacrifice their life, their liberty, they're leaving. Not many have taken their place. It's interesting. We had a few celebrities that stirred up some good trouble the other week, and all of them got chopped up with felonies. It's just interesting. We talked about this before. Who's going to take the CC Vivians, the John Lewis? Who's going to take their place in history? Some saying we don't need another John Lewis. We need a progressive form of that. But the question still lies: who's going to be that voice? John Lewis was the voice not just of his constituents in Georgia, but he was a national voice. And so who's gonna take that place in history? Somebody from
what?
Somebody else from Fisk? Maybe this young lady. This young lady that's on high, maybe she won't start up some good trouble, stir up some good trouble.
I don't good trouble. I'm okay. I'm all right.
We need a lady of the movement.
Mm-hmm. And we had some amazing ladies of the movement. They just were never publicly acknowledged. So absolutely agree.
Well, we had one lady of the movement, but we just found out the other day that she never freed the slaves. She just sold them to white folk.
Chad, please.
Oh,
he talking about he talking about Kanye West. At first he was running, and then I seen something that said no. He said he's not running for presidential, and then I seen a press conference. When he invited some people, invited some other, I don't know, some progressive millennials, I guess, who were there as well. It was a hot mess. I don't know. I watched the entire thing. At first I watched it a little bit and I was like, I ain't got time for this. But then I went back, I said, let me hear the whole thing. And I watched it. They asked questions. And he was like, come up stage and ask a question. Then he couldn't control the audience. He started acting as if they were like 5 years old. Like, you guys be quiet. When I say this, then stop. And then he got confused at some of the questions. And then it became like I'm answering a question. So if somebody else speak, I guess he couldn't listen and talk at the same time. So he's like, let me finish my thought first, before you guys start ranting other things. And then he became sort of like a little meltdown when they asked about his dad. He started crying. And then he started talking about some way off stuff that didn't make no sense. It was horrible. I just felt like, what was the need? What was the purpose of it? Can anybody help me out? I mean, like, what is he striving for? Because I don't know yet.
You thought enough of it to watch the whole thing, which means we kind of need to try to get you a life, but I don't know. Some have suggested that he was thrown into this to stir up, to try to take away from the main deal of Biden and Trump. But if that was the thought pattern, that went out the window yesterday. But I'm not a big Kanye person. I don't follow him that much, but I do see consistent patterns of his behavior. And so I don't know if he's running for president, but I do believe he needs to run to somebody's institution because he needs some help. He, in every one of his speeches, even I recall when he was with Joel Osteen, and he was there. Joel Osteen brought him in when he was on his tour. He would say the same thing. Someone, if anybody made any noise, he would tell them to stop. He couldn't concentrate. So I'm hearing a lot of the same things, and so he has a problem. And unfortunately, he has enough money to create his own platforms to get on our timelines. But at some point, we don't need to see any more Kanye. He needs to be, he needs to go somewhere to get some serious help.
Well, Terisha, I know you like Kanye. You like his music. He's cool and everything. I mean, what's your thought?
So it's not that I like it. I like Jesus. And I do have an opinion. I'm just not sure if I want to public. I will say that this is definitely a lesson for us all in how to how fragile life is, how fragile our mental state is, and how important it is to take care of ourselves and to be surrounded by loving people who encourage us and uplift us. And right now, I'm not sure who his support system is. I know he has 4 small children, so his wife it may be hard for her to juggle the children's needs as well as his. But this would be a great time to sit and have a conversation with a wise aunt or uncle, or mother or father. And unfortunately, it sounds like he doesn't have any of that in his life right now.
And the thing, I'm looking at one of the comments. The thing about celebrities, Terisha, is you're right. When celebrities act the way they act, it's hard to believe that they're acting this way. So we say they're playing crazy, they're acting. No, they have the right to be that way, just like anybody else. So the problem is we just don't like to believe it because of who they are. We've seen this from other celebrities who are melting down right in front of our eyes, and nobody in the entourage, nobody in the group, nobody is willing to say anything because they're threatened by, they're gonna get kicked out. We see it in Trump. Anybody who says something against him is gone, excommunicated. And so it's the same thing. We're seeing this play out in real time, and it will not surprise any of us if his behavior takes him down a dark path. It wouldn't surprise me, but many people tend to say, "Oh, we don't think he just playing. He just act." No. There's something seriously psychologically wrong with Mr. West. You can be talented and gifted and still have issues at the same time. A lot of people can't separate the two. Yeah. And so because he's gifted, that means he can't have other flaws. But I mean, we're seeing it play out.
Yeah.
Right. And when you said that, I just heard on today's news that Trump feels like it's a conspiracy against him. He can't believe that people are not liking him, or that he may lose or something like that. And I feel like that's how Kanye ways too. It's like, I can't believe the world don't accept me, or people don't accept me. And that does make him angry. I do believe that he, just like you said, you can be talented and you can have issues as well. We see that sometimes in our family members. It is what it is. Do I believe that he needs to speak to someone or talk to someone? Most definitely. He has a wife, he has family, he has, both sides of the family. I believe somebody should step in. I don't know what type of drastic measures or should there be any drastic measures, but I do believe that somebody ought to say something, or come on, let's talk. Because as he was talking, he was reminiscing, kept saying my girlfriend, and then he was saying my wife. He was talking about Amber Rosa, and I'm like, well, what is all this got to, do with this? And it just didn't make any sense. It really didn't make any sense. So I do hope that he gets help, and I hope that the people, if you in my circle, y'all in my circle, please be honest with me. If I'm sitting here and I'm talking all crazy off my rocker, text me and say, Tanisha, be quiet, or just whatever. Help me out. And sometimes we have to be that for our friends or our family. It's very hard, especially if they're going through something medically, if they're going through something, they lost their husband, wife, or divorce, or anything like that. Their friends sometimes we as friends don't want to really address it to them face to face, but I would rather that happen than these meltdowns in public forums.
Yeah, I mean, you said it again. You said it with with Trump. We've seen it. We've seen it before. He's having issues, people not liking him. Well, you got in office with people not liking you. You didn't win the popular vote by a long shot. It just, and a man of very little position, I can attest. I've seen it in the field that I'm in. The higher you go up, a wise man once told me, the higher you go up the tree, the more people can see your hind part. And that is absolutely true. The higher you achieve in life, the more your flaws are exposed, the more your need to be needed and to be loved and all those things. And people cannot handle when people don't love them or, dare I say, even like them. And we see it play out in a lot of celebrities' lives. And I don't think it's a coincidence that the more we see of these celebrities, the people that we fantasize about, for some of us, the less we tend to like them, because in the 70s and 80s, we didn't know about their private lives. Only thing we knew about was what we saw on television. But as the years go by, we're going further and further in who they really are. And we begin to understand that what we see on television is not who they are in real life. And for a lot of people, they can't handle that. And so they think that it's not possible. But again, I say we're seeing that it is possible.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're right. That's why I try to have some type of quarterly, get together. It's not necessarily that we're getting together networking, but just some little get together where you can talk and chat. I think is important for women, and I think it's important for, of course, both men too, or even friends I may think of and reach out and say, hey, let's have lunch, let's have dinner, or something like that, because they may come into my mind, or hopefully they'll come into theirs, and just have conversations, and those conversations do help us. I can attest to that. Yeah. So listen. So this week is the last week for the unemployment $600 boost.
Oh
I
man.
don't think we're ready for it to end. I don't think financially we're ready for that to end. Even though Florida is probably the lowest paid state for unemployment, I still don't understand that. The lowest paid for unemployment, only $275 every week. Plus that 600 is not doing a whole lot, for their pay period. $1,100, $1,200, $2,200 a month. That's not doing a whole lot compared to the living here in South Florida. I do hope that somebody come to the table with something, some type of resolution to help folks out, that's unemployed and that needs additional funding. But
Yeah, definitely a bit premature. We're still in, what are we in, phase one of
girl, I don't know what you call me in and out, but I think we in phase. I don't
We
know,
just getting
because we was
started.
in
That's what
phase
phase
one, then we
we
went to
we in
phase two.
phase.
Now
We
we
in
back to
phase. We
phase
trying to
one.
figure it out.
Yeah, we just bopping and weaving. That's how South Florida is anyway. We just roll with it, and that's basically what we're doing. First it was this, then it was no, go back. Then it was close down the restaurants, strip clubs, and the beach. No alcohol, because alcohol can make you forget to put your mask on, and alcohol weakens the immune system. Because people didn't understand why we can't drink alcohol. And now it's like, okay, well, we'll open this back up. Now the people are back on the beach, and I mean, it's I don't get it. So you close it for one day, but not for the many days. And then now we have the curfew, guys. Y'all see the curfew for South Florida. If you're from South Florida, where Broward that is, has a curfew. I think they do too, have a curfew from 11 o'clock at night to 5 a.m. in the morning. And to be honest with it, I'm okay with it. And the reason why I say this is because within the last couple of weeks, our crime rate has really been high. It has been just silly. And it was house parties, you know, just having house parties, house parties, people get drunk, people step on your toes, somebody mess with your girl. I don't know what it is. I ain't like you back in the day, but it's the house parties that's getting out of hand. One, when it comes to COVID-19, and two, when it comes to danger and just um, disruption and disputes and anger, and I'm gonna go get my gun, and we having shootouts. That's the crazy part.
Wow.
Yeah, Broward County is having a tough go of it, and it seemed like it was flipped. But now Broward is kind of, it's going crazy. Yeah, South Florida's in a curfew. I think ours is from 10 to 5 or 10 to 6, I believe. And I believe Broward is 11 to something. But we don't know where we are, because our governor has left it up to the individual municipalities and counties to set their own rules. And so, instead of being having a state mandate to get us back together again, like other states have done, we kind of left to our own devices. And so now, law enforcement and mayors have had to come and step up for the sake of crime rates and other things to get us back on track. But the thing about it is, and we talked about it before, that's why when we had the first bite at the apple, that's why it's very important when you have a bite at the apple that you have to take a big bite. Because we were so enamored about these $1,200. We were so enamored about this unemployment, because we were being shoved down the throat that, hey, this would just, people thought it was going to be free money for a month. And that was 4 or 5 months ago. And so now we're in a situation where I don't think it's going to be re-stimulated again. And I think if it is going to be re-stimulated, it's going to be a week or two before the election. I think that stimulus is going to be a momentum push for the president, but we're talking another 15 weeks before that probably ever happens. But here we are, and the question is, what do people do once this runs out in Florida? It was already not enough, and so now you take something that's not enough, you take that away. What's going to happen? There's some things that's trying to be put in place to avoid evictions and things of that nature. But truth be told, that's not fair for landowners, those that own the property. If the banks can still take the property away, telling me I can't put someone out because they can't pay rent doesn't do me any good. So we're just on a slippery slope here in Florida, and nobody's giving us any real answers. We don't have any real leadership in this state.
Can you all hear me? Hopefully I'm not breaking up this
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it just wasn't thought completely through. I think that everybody thought it wouldn't last this long. So because they didn't think it would last this long, we didn't have a long-term plan in place, individually and globally. So that's why Broward's on one curfew, Dade's on another curfew, West Palm's no curfew. It's a little bit confusing, and it's unfortunate because Florida is one of the states that is leading in new COVID cases. So you would think that we've had enough time for our leadership to come together and decide on something that would not only help the businesses, the landlords, as you say, but also the people. Where are we going from here? I don't know, but it's not looking good at all.
No long-term plan. You're absolutely right. No long-term plan, no long-term goals. And because from the top, from the man that sits in the big chair, he told us, hey, by Easter, this is gonna be all gone. At worst, by the summer, it'll just melt away. And so there was no long-term plans of how we were gonna handle this. And here we are, still the epicenter of it. We have become the laughing stock. Florida has become one of the laughing stocks of the nation, of the entire world at this point. We own every news channel across the world. The state of Florida right now, it's crazy.
Right. Yeah, and I feel for a lot of those and friends who have businesses, have to leave their businesses, have to leave their homes or moving downsize, going to an apartment if they're renting from somewhere, or the banks gave the 90 days and the 90 days was it. They're not extending. They haven't said they would be extending any longer. So a lot of people will be without, and I hate to see that our progressive city that we are in, is going to be that way. So people wonder, why do people have these starting their own business? Because you're trying to strive for yourself and your family. If I can't do it here, maybe I can be creative and do it somewhere else and have, something else going on. And I'm all for that. And a lot of people doing these, I know y'all see them. They probably invited y'all to these susus and circles, right, and lotus flower. What's the other one somebody sent me?
Yeah, it's all gotta
I
be
done had a
said.
$50 one, a $500, a $1,400. All of those, and it sounds good. It's like $1,400. You get $11,000. You're like, oh shoot, I could use that. But what if you're the one that gets stuck? Because eventually it has to end. So the outside people gonna get stuck. I don't want to be the one that gets stuck. I don't care if it's $50. I don't want to be the one that gets stuck. You understand what I'm saying? So it's just like, so they saying, hoping that, this worked and I can get this. It's just a gamble. I call it gambling. It's just a gamble, because you don't know. You're hoping that other people come and you get your money, and some people get their money and get out. Some people get in and continue. Oh, I'm glad I mentioned that. I hope he's listening. No, Tanisha, don't start no trouble.
Oh
But
boy.
if I ask this question, and I ask this question to the both of you, if one of your colleagues, Pastor Nathan Austin, were to get on Facebook and promote the circle or lotus flower to people and tell them to get in and get in with me and stuff, I made a comment, and I was like, no pastor should be promoting to me that's gambling, that they should be getting into some type of pyramid that's not, you don't know what if they don't get their money? What if they're that person that lags behind? Would you feel responsible? What you guys think?
Listen, I've seen so many things from pastors and religious folk that I'm not sure if I have the energy to continue to comment on foolish things. This is just one of many things that I've seen going around. That's just, I mean, it's just foolish. It's I've seen it on both sides. I have a pastor friend of mine who's really been kind of exposing this, and he's being torn down, saying, he's blocking people's blessing and all these types of things. And it's very hard for me to watch a pastor promote these type of, as you said, pyramid schemes. That's what they are. They are pyramid schemes, and I wish people would just promote them as what they are. There is a pyramid, and at some point, the pyramid is going to crumble, and and it's going to be a lot of. You're talking about violence. You're talking about violence and crime. It's going to be a lot more of that once these things start to crumble. But that's what happens in the bad economy. People try to come up with all of these creative ways to try to make money and do this and do that, and this is just one minor result of that. And so, when this doesn't work, it's going to go back to the crime. It's going to go back to just so many things. We're going to see so many ill effects from COVID-19 that have nothing to do with the medical side of it. Because we're going to get to a point where people are going to be scrapping to survive. And it's not just in minority areas. It's going to be in areas all over. And so, I think I will say something, but I've said so much to so many people, I'm just exhausted. I really am. So I'm trying to ignore certain things and keep it moving, but sometimes it's hard for me to do.
I tried to ignore it, but I kept seeing it. So the Tanisha in me was like, I got to say something. It bothered my spirit. Go ahead, Dr. Lee.
I'm familiar with the susu that is usually with a family or a group of friends, where you get out what you put in. So you
Right.
say $100-$200 every week for 10 weeks, and then you get out $1,000-$2,000, and it's just a way of saving. My husband and I have done it with our family, and it's worked out well. We've even included some close friends into that family circle, and it's worked well. I was approached about the susu friends and family thing, and my question was, and I've gotten an answer, but my question was, where is the additional funds coming from? Because I think it was 500 investment and you get 3,500 back. And it was, well, you gotta get to who gets to, and then they get to, and then and I said, see, that's it right there, because that means somebody's gonna lose. Somebody is paying,
Right.
but they have to find somebody to pay them. So it wasn't my style. I've seen it happen before, and I too actually saw a pastor who had to who participated and then had to come on social media and apologize for their participation in it, and even pay some people out of pocket because they had misled them to join and they lost money. So I admire that pastor for their courage in publicly acknowledging that mistake and even trying to remedy it with their own funds. But the truth of the matter is, it's almost a joke now to call it a pyramid scheme, because even in their advertisement, they said your job is a pyramid scheme and you're never going to advance. And I said, whoa, an interesting message to tell people. You're never going to be at the top with the CEOs and the presidents. So that's a pyramid scheme. This is not. And I've even heard them say, you know, what's wrong with getting rich quick? Who wants to get rich slow? So they've become savvy. They've become
So you
quite.
stepped up the marketing game for it. I see.
Yes, definitely. They've become quite eloquent in their presentation, and it can fool people, particularly people who are desperate and who need the money. And
Right.
unfortunately,
Right away.
who are the highest risk of losing their money and being hurt by it. So, yeah, I'm not in the blue flower. I respectfully declined.
Yeah. Now I'm glad you said that, because the susu is different than the flower. The
Oh,
susus, I have friends that does the savings and they've been in it, and when it's their turn, it's their turn. But that flower in their circle is different
and that
from it, because
with the
even the people who I know and they kids in it, I'm like, I ain't getting in it. What if they don't put their money in? I don't put my money in, and they're your child in your house. I'm like, no.
I think that
Whenever you begin to join finances with strangers, there's a
Right.
danger in that. It's just a danger in it. And again, I didn't know how the marketing game strategy has stepped up. You know, I'm out of the loop in that area. But again, it's desperate times calls for desperate measures. And so I guess this is the time that we're living in. And so I would admonish our people to be careful. You know, I prayerfully, if I have members listening, this is not something pastor will endorse. They know if I found out about it, I'd probably call them out from the pulpit. So my members are very smart. They don't let me in on crazy stuff, because I'm crazy like that. I'll call their name and the information. So they, but pastors getting involved in it, but every pastor is not a pastor. So I'm going to leave it at that when it comes to that. So I'm going to move on. I'm not going to go in there.
Sorry for my expression, guys. But listen, I'm glad you said that also, because be careful of the Cash App thing too. I've seen that. People like, put your Cash App in, put your cash, we giving away money, we giving away money, we giving it, who giving away money? Like who you just get, and I'm looking at your background, like you don't look like you can give away money. Like you were giving away money, we're giving $200 away, we're giving $1,500 away. That's another scheme of people getting folks' Cash App. And it's really happening that money is being withdrawn from their Cash Apps. So don't just throw your Cash App out there. I don't even like Cash App, but don't even throw your Cash App out there. Just put it online to say, hey, this is, that, for your birthday purposes, and then take it down and then delete it. But don't just put your Cash App under those big long things and sharing it with other people. That's just their way of just marketing, again, themselves to have a lot of followers, which is, I'm like, if they call a name, they're probably a cousin name. That's just how I think. So I don't know.
Wow.
But listen, guys. So we're talking about I want to talk about, let me see which one I want to talk about first. The 10 years of the business. Let's talk about the 10 years and I get to the business. 10 years, and guys, you're listening to the Table Talk Radio Show. My name is Tanisha Simpkins. We're here with Dr. Terisha Lee and also Pastor Nathan Austin. We're here on Mondays at 7 p.m. Make sure to join us. You can add a comment, you can ask a question, just get involved. So, 10 years. Is 10 years a long time for a term in office? Is it long enough? Or, we have a lot of people, representatives or Congress, that we continue to keep voting for. Is 10 years too long to be in office? 10 years. Now I'm thinking because we live in South Florida, we have a lot of people who tenure has been longer. Sometimes they'll just switch over to another district, or they'll switch over as a representative if they're Congress, if I mean, or a Senate. But they move in different spots that's in their area. So then it becomes you got 10 years here, maybe 5 years here, maybe 5 years there. Um, is it a long time to be in office? I'll say 15 years. I up it up for 15 years, considering that our demographics of people and generations change. I said it to both of you.
Office, or you mean like in politics, period? You muted yourself, Tanisha. Oh, you saying yes in politics, period? Okay.
I'm sorry. Yes, in politics. Period.
Okay. I don't necessarily think it's too long. I think the truth of the matter is, it takes time to get acclimated to a new position. It takes time to get acclimated to the people, to learn their voices and their needs. And I think a 2 to 3 year stint may be too short to actually hear the people and have a change that will last. Um, However, I think the last job statistics I saw was that millennials only stayed in jobs, I think, like 2 to 4 years. But I can't remember exactly, so don't quote me on that. But I think that was about it. That the job stay was extremely short. Here's the thing: I feel like the generations before, they did stay in positions for 10, 20, 30 years, and people just aren't doing that. Do I think that hurts us politically? No. I think it has potential to, but I think that a cap maybe would be helpful. But it takes time to get in there. It takes time to actually implement change, and change that isn't going to be overturned the moment you leave office.
Yeah, I think
Pastor A.
I agree with Tanisha. I think there definitely should be term limits on just about every political office. I certainly do believe that. 10 years. I've been at my church 10 years. Come April would be 10 years. Um, it in some instances it depends on what you inherit. I feel like I'm just now. I only probably have about 10 more, but I feel like I'm just starting to. The church is just starting to be have my staple on it. It took me this long to kind of get through the minutia, just other things of to get the church where I am. So it really does depend on what you walk into, but I definitely think that there should be term limits. But I also believe that there should be a better vetting and monitoring period for politicians. I think that what ends up happening is people after a certain amount of time, you just really end up being voted on for name recognition, and there is no watchdog party. There are some, but there's no legitimate watchdog parties that will just really give us the facts to let us know, hey, this person is no longer doing their job. They're melding it in. They're too old to be in this position, and we're celebrated heroes that honestly, we don't like to admit it, but I don't think you should be in office in your 80s and late 80s. And I don't, and this is not ageism or anything like that, but I really do think it's hard to be effective if you've been in office 30, 40 years. That's just my opinion. I don't think you're as effective. I think you can still have a voice in your community, in your district, but holding that office that long. And let's look at John Lewis, for example. I think someone just was nominated to fill that spot, but it would have been very nice for him to be able to really groom someone that was going to take his place. But in politics, it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, that was good. That was good, and I agree with what you're saying. Because I'm not, don't get me on ageism as well. but I do believe that age is a factor. Not that you're, senile or anything like that, but the thinking method of what is today, like those who are as a certain age, things different than the 20, 21 and the 30-year-old who are we call progressive. 35-year-olds who we're calling I call them progressive leaders right now. So that mindset of thinking, and that's a good case that you said that they should be groomed in that position. We should be grooming these young politicians, these young men who volunteer to help, or women who volunteer to help our campaigns. We should be grooming them. Not allowing, especially in our Black communities, them to be in there for 10 years, or you said it's fine, 15 and 20 years, jumping from here, jumping from there with the same voice and the same intentions. Move out the way. That's all I got to say. Let these people, these young people, do their due diligence, please. They have a lot to say. They have a lot to give. These are the ones who are at the table right now when it comes to our Black Lives Matter movement. These are the ones who are putting these things in place. And I love it. And I want these young people to do it because I want to see a better future. I don't want us to be stagnant in the same, okay, so we're in the same thing that, whatever in our community. We're not doing this in our community. We don't have this in our schools. We don't have arts and culture in our school. Why don't we have that? Let's change the narrative of some of these people.
I mean, you can look at the young lady. I can't call her name. That's sick now. Um, she's up there in age. She's her health is failing, and Supreme Court justice is a lifetime position. So unfortunately, she has to pass away for someone else to take that. I don't think any job, especially a political one, should be a lifetime appointment. I've never agreed with that from the U.S. Supreme Court on down. It's a danger in that, because what ends up happening is that's where corruption sets in. Whenever someone is somewhere too long, you can guarantee at some point corruption is going to set in because they become untouchable.
I too agree.
Go ahead.
Definitely not a lifetime appointment. But I think we also have to definitely not throw out the baby with the bathwater. The contribution that Representative John Lewis gave to our community, particularly Black people, is invaluable. And I think his appointment as congressman in this time of Black Lives Matter was one of our saving graces. I think that his experience marching with Dr. King and being a young student when he did that was experience that no millennial or Generation Z had. And to hear that voice and those experiences was an amazing asset to the Black community. I can't say that 80 is the cutoff or 70 is the cutoff or 75 is the cutoff, because there's always that exception of a older person with an amazing mind, an amazing vitality, who is an asset to the community. The same as there are young people who are not necessarily productive citizens. There are older people who are not necessarily productive citizens. I don't think that it is a matter of age. I think it is a matter of activity. Do things change as you age? Absolutely. But I don't think age should be a factor at all in whether you can sit in office or not. The problem with grooming is that we are for grooming as long as they are for us. The problem with grooming is if we groom leaders, then that also means that our enemies groom leaders. So I don't think necessarily grooming
They do.
is
Well, they're doing that now for sure.
exactly.
Right.
Necessarily about grooming as much as it is about people who stand up and stand out in the community. The great thing is that John Lewis was such a public figure. He marched with children, college students, older adults. He had a comic book. He did a lot of great things with different age groups. So his touch was felt, and he will as well as others figures. But I think something that
When you're active.
yes, and he was quite active. I think one of the things that we have to remember and we have to hold on to, because we are in fear of repeating it, is that our people that were had firsthand encounters with the civil rights movement are dying. They are leaving us. And soon we will say that there is no living person who was there during the civil rights movement. We have to hold on to their stories. We have to make sure their voices are heard. We can't tell them that they have aged out of influence or aged out of having a voice. We have to allow them a seat at the table.
And that doesn't suggest that
Okay, they can sit at the table. They
right,
can sit
right.
at the table. I don't mind them sitting at the table. You can sit right here, right next to me. However, just like at that time when we had the civil rights, you said they were active. We have a generation right now who's active as well. When the both men died on the same day, I just felt like it was okay. This must be, must be something telling us that okay, it's time. We're changing. Let's progress. New leadership, new voices. Because right now we're in the same space as it was during the 50s or 60s. Not as much, violence and all of that there. But as far as trying to get our civil rights and get things done, we're still trying to progress, even as Black people in businesses, be on shows, be in magazines, ownership, all of those different type of things. What we're doing, but I just still believe that I don't want to say because you're old that you should not be with us at the table, most definitely. But give us some of your experience, give us some leadership, give us some knowledge, give us some advice. But I do believe right now, I want to see. I guess that's just me. I want to see the end of the movie. What happened with the people who are in the trenches now and who are also in politics now, who are in that space. I just want to see what happens, because we have people like even here in South Florida. I don't have to name any names, but we have like the Frederica Wilson, but I know she changed different district. We have the Barbara Wasserman Schultz. We have the Alcee Hastings. We have the I can go on down the line. We have different people, but not just here, in other states as well. It's like, okay, we're not saying that we finish with you and throw you away. I don't want them to think that, and I don't want me to come off as I'm saying that, because you are valuable, because you paved the way in a lot of different things and laws. I want somebody who have created laws. Like right now, you have we in Broward, guys, whoever's listening. So you have the Sheriff Jones. He creating laws. You have all these other people that want to create laws, but don't be still in a position and not voting or not trying to create any laws. Go ahead.
For me, it's not about age versus about tenure. So you threw out a name, and Frederica Wilson would be a perfect example of this. So let's say Frederica Wilson. She's tenure wise, I think she's still a junior representative. She's only been a representative for 9 years, a U.S. representative. Now she's in her 70s, but we can't count her time as the Florida senator and Florida's U.S. representative, but she's only been a U.S. representative for 9 years. But when you take someone who's been in office, the John McCain's and the Schumers and all of these people who've been in office for 40 and 50 years, it's not even, for me, it's not about the age, it's about a tenure. You've been in this seat, Chuck Schumer, and you've been in this seat for 40 years. We have the state attorney in Miami. She's been the state attorney for over 30 years. To me, again, with that level of influence for that long, you can't convince me that there is not a level of corruption going on. There's not a level of bias that goes on when you're in something that long. I see it from a pastor standpoint. It pains me to see pastors who, what I call, die in the chair. They've been pastor for 40 years. At some point, there has to be a cutoff. You don't have to move away from the table. You can become the senior pastor or the senior citizen or the senior senator or whatever you want to be, call them. But to be in that spot that long, for me, it's not even about tenure. I mean, about age. It's really about tenure.
I'm just going to have to respectfully disagree with y'all.
Because you could be, someone there 40 years, I mean, even they started if they started in their 20s, in their 60, 40 years, that's too long to be in one spot.
I completely agree that there should be a that a lifelong appointment it can be a bit much. And it doesn't leave room for other voices.
And it's the same thing as lifetime. You're just not calling it that, but that's basically the same thing. John Lewis was there. He was there a lifetime. I mean, we're not calling it that, but that's essentially what it is.
Yeah. But we also can't say that just because they've been in it so long that means it automatically is corruption either now.
But the challenge is, and I say this at our church, and that's why this is where the slippery slope comes in. I try to make policies and I do things for positions and not people, because we can say that for a John Lewis, but there's so many others we can't say that about. And so that's why we have to make decisions, not on people, because every representative was not a John Lewis. Right. So what happens is we don't want to see it because we're missing out on the John. Now, there could be a great John Lewis Jr. that come behind. Unfortunately, we would never know. We're going to see now. There could be someone just as good, but we cannot make these decisions based upon people, because it's going to pain us, because we're going to say, man, well, we didn't have a John Lewis or Elijah Cummings for the past 20 years. Well, hey, what about all these other people that's been here for all these that's doing some reputable damage to our communities? And so we just have to balance that. I just think there needs to be a balance in that. I think that's just where the tenure comes in. You don't have to use a seat at the table. You can use your influence. They have it in golf. They have a seniors tour where, they're still golfing, they're still doing their thing, but they're just in another category. I think once you reach
all right, Pastor. I want somebody coming at you that.
And again, I'm talking about tenure. Tenure and senior go together. Once you've been in something for 30, 40 years, you're gonna be a senior unless you started at 3. So I think that goes together. That's what I'm saying. That's why I use Frederica Wilson as an example. I don't think she's only been in her position 9 years. So for her, I'm 10 years. I'm good with her still being there. She hasn't been in that position that long. Now, she had been a U.S. Senator for all her time, then I would have a problem with it. And that's why I keep saying tenure versus age, because to me, that's a big difference.
All righty. All right. So let me ask this last question, one of our last questions here. Let me just put down what Miss Linda Fryer put. Then I'll go to the next one. We, the older generation, made it possible for you guys are sitting right now. Don't put us out to Pastor. Don't put us out, Pastor. One thing most young people don't know, feel the passion for our fathers, that they should and don't know their history at all.
Yes.
Yeah, we have to teach them their history. Definitely teach them their history. As a matter of fact, she getting you.
And again, that's where we run into the tension, because it's not putting out. There's not a putting out. There's not a loss of influence. What it says is someone else is getting a seat at the table. And I use myself as an example. I have 10 more years as a senior pastor of Mount Zion. That's it. Once that clock is up, I'm done being a senior pastor. I'm going to be an overseer. I'm going to still be there, but I will not run the day-to-day operations. Why? Because I would have been there almost 25 years. That's a long time. I can still have, matter of fact, I feel like I can be fresher because I don't have the pressure of the day-to-day operation. I can be an advisor. I can be a support. I can be a fill-in. I can do something else, but I don't have to be in the chair for 30, 40, 50 years to say that I'm making an influence. That's exactly what I'm saying. So I am following my own advice in that I just don't believe, again, because it grieves me as pastor. We just lost a pastor in Broward County. Died as a pastor, in his 80s. Nothing wrong with that, But the problem is now they have to start all over again.
Yeah. I believe that
that is the challenge.
I believe that there should be successors. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I do believe that there should be successors when it comes to pastoring. A lot of people, even my mom, they their retirement of the think of retirement is trying to say that you're putting me out, just like Miss Linda said, or you're calling me old age, and that's not what we're doing. We don't want to do that. We ain't gonna put you out. All right. So let me go to the last.
You want a 90-year-old school teacher? I mean,
Can you get him?
I mean, at some point, everything like milk. You can't. It has an expiration date. We don't like it, but if that milk has been in my refrigerator, it has an expiration date. Everything needs an expiration date in order for it to stay fresh. That's just it.
All right.
I'm
all right.
I'll leave it alone, Tanisha. I'm not gonna say that just because it's fresh don't mean it's good. I'm gonna keep going. I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
You get what
all right. So the last one I have is about business, guys. We talk about different things here. We talk about business, religion, health, and all of that. So someone had asked me this question, had sent me this actually, and the question was, why are Black businesses missing return customers? Why are Black businesses missing return customers?
I didn't know they were.
Like as if it's like we have like all these different groups that are on Facebook, right? The eating groups, the business groups, and all of these things. And some will say, well, what makes good customer service? Some will say, one person will say, well, I haven't been getting repeat business. And I'm tempted to always answer, but I say, Tanisha, stop answering all of these people posts. What is it that's making them not getting return customers? And I had listed a couple things the young lady had asked, and I said, well, being on time. If you're traveling to be there, make sure you're there 15 minutes early. Already be set up. Being on time, being courteous. We very, and just gonna put it out there. Sometimes we're very judgmental with each other. In business. Being courteous and all that stuff. And then they like to use the Chick-fil-A, method of customer service. The hellos, the thank yous, have a nice day. All those things matter because when people spend their money, they feel like, hey, you owe me something out of these $5 that I give you. And what else did I put? I put being on time, that and just sometimes we have to do a survey. I believe in surveys in the church. I believe we have to do a survey, after they've gone out, send them a thank you. We got so many different businesses that are going on right now, even online. I think Pastor wife selling her items, other people selling their items, and it's a matter of being nice and a whole lot of respect.
Yeah.
That's I'm answering this person's question. So if you guys have anything to add.
Well, I'll answer if you're not.
No, I was telling you to go first. I was going to answer.
Okay.
Yes.
Hear you. I'm sorry. So here's my gripe. First of all, I never like to generalize. I never like when we say Black businesses, as
Black
if
business.
I've experienced every Black business under the sun. It's annoying. It is egregious. It is stereotypical, and it needs to stop. Please stop with the false surveys on social media of why haven't you gone back to a Black business? And your limited experience is not the experience. Your limited experience is not every Black business. So this whole notion of why don't Black businesses get returned is laughable to me, because I haven't experienced every Black business, because I know of Black businesses who regularly get customers and Black businesses that I have regularly patronized, and I will continue to. Here's the thing. Walmart has a reputation of not being very organized, employees being rude, and we still don't classify them as a white business. we classify them as Walmart. But if you go to your sister down the street with brown skin and buy your books from her, and she doesn't say thank you fast enough or in a tone that you appreciate, now Black businesses don't treat their customers well. That was one experience on that one day, and I can assure you that there have been times when I went back to a business and they were pleasant, and it's like night and day. What happened with y'all? Maybe they just had a bad day. Stop holding Black people to this standard that not only do they have to give you top of the line products, but they have to kiss your behind while they do it. It's unfair, and they'll never win if we constantly keep changing the finish line. Another thing is comparing ourselves to other established businesses. Stop telling people that you are Gucci, that Gucci, Louis Vuitton, and Bentley don't have sales, so you shouldn't have sales. Let's be honest. Everybody wants a good sale. So asking for a discount or a sale is not offensive. It is what we do. When you go to Walmart and you see something you like and you see a defect on it, the first thing you do is look for a manager to see if you're going to get a discount on it. Do you not? I know people who do, and I've done it before too. If you don't have the reputation, the customer service, or the longevity of Gucci, Bentley, or Louis Vuitton, please stop comparing yourself and you've only been in business for 6 months. It doesn't work. It's not cute. And it actually makes you look silly because it's actually harassment and beating up on your customers that don't even exist. You had one experience and now you're saying people need to stop asking Black businesses for discounts. It's funny to me. And I fight that too, Tanisha, wanting to comment when I see people post that and say, we're all want a discount. We're all trying to provide the best we can for our families. And if we can save a couple dollars, we'll do it. So please stop taking it personally. Stop taking it offensively, because you don't do it at Walmart. You don't do it at Target. And some places we go, we know we're going to get horrible customer service, but they have what we want. So we keep going back.
I think I'm gonna pick up where you left off, Terisha, and I could be wrong, but I think I'm a business owner, multiple businesses, so and I have to deal with it all. I think the part of discount is the haggling. It's not about the discount. It's about how much this costs. It's $100. But can you do it for $50? I think that's the part of Black business that people, I don't mind, discounts, but the store dictates the discounts for the most part, unless there is a problem. But you can't say how much is the cake and you're going to now discount the price. That's the problem with that. But that's that. You are spot on when it comes to the first part of your statement, when it comes to why do we have this stigma of Black businesses and return customers? Business is business. There are a lot of businesses that struggle with customers. There are a lot of businesses that don't. I'll give we got this Dade County Youth Fair sent us an email. Hey, we're opening up the fair for food. Anybody knows anything about the Dade County Youth Fair? Is known for its rise in its food. We saw the advertisement, took a carload of people, about 10, 12 of us, rode down there to the fair to get this food. Thousands upon thousands of people there. We waited 4 hours in line and another 2 hours in line to get into the parking lot and another 2 hours to get the food. Nobody complained. Poorly organized, poorly put together. The food wasn't, in a lot of cases, nearly as good. But I was telling the people in our group, noticing there's no fighting, there's no cussing, there's no, our tolerance and patience level seems to go through the roof when it's not Black. Now, if that had been Black owned and operated, done that poorly, oh my God, it would have made national news. So we have to get out of this, I'm going to come with these high expectations because it's Black. And come to understand that in a lot of Black instances, they're already working from behind. They don't have the staff. Now, this is Dade County Youth Fair, a multi-$100 million business. They were poorly staffed, poorly organized, but nobody said a word. Why? Because of their brand name. Nobody's going to talk about it. So we have to make sure that whatever the standard is, let that be the standard for everybody. And then we'll see how things turn out. But we have certain standards for Black and then we have a certain standard for everybody else, and that's where I have the problem with being a consumer and a business owner. That's why I have the biggest problem.
Yeah, yeah, and I agree. Yeah, so again, Terisha, I'm gonna stay off these people posts. They talking about businesses, because we're all trying to make it, and we don't need to get on there and discredit and talk about another person's business, and say mean things, and why these people, and people on there saying, oh, give us your feedback, and I'm the type of person, if I have feedback, I'm gonna go directly to the person. That's just me. I don't need to blast it, to make, like, hey, you didn't do this, or my food was this, and all that stuff there. I don't do all that.
And
But
stop
yeah, I'm
targeting
glad that.
that's the problem. It's black owned business, but I don't target blacks in my business. I target everybody. Everybody's money is green. But so
Right,
that
'cause I'm a yelper.
I target anyway. We do catering, so we have Spanish. I mean, we have over 25 schools, so anybody who want to hire us can hire us. It's not a black or white thing.
Like old
You
business,
just
right?
have to get to the point to where white folks mess up all the time. Amazon, sometimes their package don't get there the day it says it's gonna come, and we cool with it. It just, I mean, the standards have to change when it comes to black owned businesses. That's the problem.
And I think every business, and I'll say this to the person, if you receive something, that's your opportunity to seek for maybe a customer service company or consulting. Maybe they can go in and see what type of changes your business may need. Just by the fact saying why they're not returning, it just could be something internal. Just like Dr. Lee and Pastor A say, we don't have to separate and say because it's a black business. Maybe it's just your business, sis. I'm sorry,
And
but yeah.
I think the problem is not necessarily a black business. I think the problems that most people have is because it's a small business. I think that is the challenge. It's a small business. So most small businesses, you can't compare a small business to a Walmart or to a Target. You just can't do that. I think that's what we're starting to see. We don't understand it. It's not because they're black. It's because they're small.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you're just not going to get the same type of productivity with 3 people versus a business that has 100. Just not going to be the same.
All right. So do you guys have something going on this week? I know Terisha, Dr. Lee, you're doing a talk with a young lady I know, book author, book publisher.
Yes. Coach Smith, we're talking to people about writing that book. I meet people all the time who say they want to write a book but don't know how to write a book, don't know how to start, organize it. We're going to talk about all that tomorrow here on Facebook Live at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time.
Oh, I need
Okay.
to
Yeah. Because I have, guys. You guys know that I'm a publisher of media and entertainment, so I do have book authors, who are on my team, who I'm on their team, actually on their team. So yeah, it's something to look at. I always thought maybe I should be a publisher. Then I thought that just put too much on my plate because they always come to me. So I always have to go find them a publisher. And I'm thinking maybe I just learn how to do it. That I can do it, but then there's just just too much, Tanisha. There's too many. I already got like 10 streets, and because every 2 minutes, every 11. You got anything going on, Pastor A?
Yeah, we're doing something a little different this Sunday. We're having a pull up and praise service at Zion. So we've been out of the building for a while, so this will be our first return to the building. We're just not going inside. So normal service, be able to enjoy it from the comfort of your car, or you can get out of your car. But if you're in your car, we have the radio station. You can listen to it. We'll still be streaming it, but it's just doing something a little different. So we're going to pray that the weather holds up, and we'll enjoy our time together. But we're just, again, something different. We thank all those that watch us online, the hundreds of those you that watch us on a weekly basis. But if you want a church experience and want to still remain safe, you're welcome to join us. Pull up praise at 11 a.m. We ask that you get there a little early so you can get your good spot and get all the instructions that you would need. But we're just going to have a good time. Not going to be all day. Still going to be within that same conference of time, but it's just something different that we're doing.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. That's good. And I think that'd be nice because I would, if I came, I'd be just sitting in my car in the AC. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I just honk the horn, amen and all that there. So
Yeah.
that should be interesting. I'm sure you guys gonna have it on Facebook Live. I
Yeah.
just want to thank everybody to tuning in to the Table Talk radio show. Again, we're here on what did I just do? We're here on Mondays at 7 p.m. Make sure to invite a friend or tell someone in regards to it. This show is recorded, and you can also look at it again. If you have any questions, just put your comments. If you want to view it on YouTube, you can, or even Facebook under Table Talk Media. Dr. Lee, if you want to put some of your stuff on here, we could do that too. But I thank you guys for tuning in, and you guys have a great night. See you. Peace.
Bye bye.
No.